This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. What is ransomware as a service and how is it evolving? Ransomware attacks are becoming more frequent and costlier. Breaches caused by ransomware grew 41% in the last year. The average cost of a destructive attack is rising to $5 million. What's more, a good chunk of cyber criminals are doing these attacks as they operate as ransomware as a service, the RaaS model. So ransomware as a service is not much different in theory from the software as a service business model, where cloud providers rent out their technology to you on a subscription basis. Just swap out the cloud providers with ransomware gangs and technology with ransomware and related crimes involved. So in this post, we're going to talk about how ransomware as a service works, why it poses a unique threat to businesses, and how small and medium-sized businesses can prepare for the next generation of ransomware attacks. So how does ransomware as a service work? Don't get it twisted. Ransomware gangs aren't your run-of-the-mill hackers looking to score a few $100. We're talking big, sophisticated businesses with up to 100 employees. Lockbit, Blackbuster, Avos Locker are just a few of the ransomware gangs that are out there. This is run as a business. So you got developers, managers, and you got a couple of level of people doing negotiations, things like that. And these gangs have made hundreds of millions of dollars each year in the last few years. So ransomware as a service gangs like Lockbit make money by selling ransomware as a service kits and other services to groups called affiliates who actually launch the ransomware attacks. In other words, affiliates don't need crazy technical skills or knowledge to carry out these attacks. By working closely with initial access brokers, IABs, some of these RaaS gangs can even offer affiliates direct access into a company's network. How our ransomware as a service has changed the game. So let's jump back to 2015. These were the good old days where ransomware attacks were automated and carried out with a much smaller scale. Here's how it went. Somebody would send you an email with an attachment. You double clicked on it and ransomware ran on your machine. You'd be locked out of your machine. You'd have to pay about $300 in Bitcoin to get it unlocked. Attackers would send out loads of email. Lots of people would get encrypted and lots of other people would have to pay them a few $100. This was the business model in a nutshell. But then ransomware gangs snuffed out the golden opportunity. So rather than attacking individual endpoints for chump change, they realized they could target organizations for big money. Gangs switched from automated campaigns to human-operated ones, where the attack is controlled by an operator. In human-operated attacks, attackers try hard to wedge themselves into a network so that they can move laterally throughout an organization. So at the forefront of this evolution from automated ransomware to human-operated ransomware attacks are ransomware as a service gangs. And their new business models seem to be paying off because in 2021, these gangs made at least $350 million in ransom payments. So why is ransomware as a service attacks so dangerous? The fact that these attacks are human operated means these attacks are more targeted than they used to be, and target attacks are far more dangerous than untargeted ones. In target attacks, attackers spend more time, resources, and efforts to infiltrate a business network and steal information. Such attacks often take the advantage of a well-known security weakness to gain access, and attackers spending days to even months burrowing themselves in your network. The human-operated element of these attacks also mean that these affiliates can control precisely when to launch an attack, including during times where the organization are more vulnerable. Famously, some of these RaaS affiliates love long weekends. They want to run the ransomware when you're not going to notice and give themselves however much time they need in order for the encryption to complete. So they like to do it at nighttime. They love to do it during the holidays. You're dealing with a person. It's not about software running, trying to figure everything out. It's a person trying to figure everything out. And they're trying to figure out what's the best way to attack you. So is ransomware here to stay? The evolution of these RaaS attacks, and one of the biggest innovations in the ransomware as a service space in the most recent years has been the use of double extortion schemes, where attackers steal data before encryption and threaten to leak it if the ransom isn't paid. Companies have gotten more aware of ransomware and better prepared in terms of things like backups, for example. But if affiliates are already broken into your environment, they can simply use stolen data as extra leverage, leaking bits of it to get your attention, to speed up negotiations, or prove what kind of access they have. All these specific ransomware gangs these days do double extortion. So they leak it on a dedicated leak website on the dark web. Many of these programs even feature a suite of extortion support offerings, including leak site hosting. Not only is this trend is growing, but there's chatter about whether or not standalone data leaking is the next stage in evolution of ransomware as a service. So these are now gangs that not only do the data leaking, they don't bother with encryption at all because it's sufficiently successful and you don't have to worry about the software. You don't have to worry about software being detected and you don't have to worry about it running. So in other words, the evolution from ransomware focused RaaS to leaking focus RaaS means that businesses need to rethink the nature of the problem. It's not about the ransomware per se, it's about the intruder on your network. The real dangerous thing is turning out to be is the access, not the ransomware software itself. So, like small and medium businesses can protect themselves against the next generation of ransomware as a service by preparing these attacks. Isn't any different than preparing for the standard ransomware attacks. So the advice isn't going to vary at that much across different size businesses or industries because next gen ransomware is so focused on intrusion. However, small and medium businesses have their own unique challenges in combating it. So monitoring 24 by 7 for signs for this intrusion is tough work, let alone organizations with shoestring budgets and barely any security staff. Consider the fact that when a threat actor breaches the network, they don't attack right away. The median number of days between system compromise and detection is 21 days. So by that time, it's often too late. Data has already been harvested and ransomware has already been deployed. So 23% of intrusions lead to ransomware, 29% to data theft, 30% to exploit activity where adversaries use vulnerabilities to initiate former intrusions. So every tool, or even with tools such as EDR, a SIEM. So EDR is more like a endpoint um, to support your individual endpoints. The key thing is to have some information to ensure that your information is protected. So the perfect 1-2 combo for Fighting ransomware is human operated, targeted, and easy to execute. Ransomware is a dangerous evolution in the history of ransomware. So, double extortion tactics, where attackers threaten to leak stolen data to the dark web, are another important evolutionary stage of ransomware campaigns. So, to this point, where ransomware itself might become obsolete in the future, as a result, these small and medium businesses should focus on these efforts on intruder detection, and in addition, with implementing ransomware prevention and resilience best practices. Ransomware is serious. Keep your eyes open. We'll go really quick to Jeeves. How you doing? Kev, how you doing? Leggy Lady, how you doing? So don't keep your nudes on your computer, people. Hello. I'll put that one up there. So true. And this is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents, with a quick 11-minute podcast. Talk to you guys soon.